Usually, when I have a triple shot here on the channel, it's me and a bunch of the friends telling you what we think will happen, what we want to happen, and a wild card pick. Due to a scheduling conflict, it's just me. So after the open, I will tell you what I think will happen, what I want to happen, and a wild card pick for AEW Full Gear. Before we get to my AEW Full Gear triple shot, let me remind you, like I say every time a video goes out, there is a link in the description for Everlasting Survivors, Volume 1. All day long, there are two covers. The Jeff Hicks cover A, the Nick Crook cover B. These are Everlasting Survivors Volume 1, all day long. First printings, there are very limited first printings still available at Etsy.com. Get your copy while supplies last. After they sell out, these covers will never be printed again. New covers will be put out in their place. And the more people are into and engaged and buying, then the more volumes can be produced. The story can continue, and great things can happen. But talking about the story continuing, that's the beauty of wrestling, is the story never ends. It always moves forward and evolves and continues in new and different ways. So while we're talking about the evolution, the change, the development of All Elite Wrestling's storylines, let's talk about what I think will happen at All Elite Wrestling, AEW, Full Gear. I think that in the main event of the pay-per-view, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, who was attacked by the Firm, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago now, something like that? At the beginning of the month, we'll say. Or at the end of last month. It was the end of last month, whatever. He was taken out by his own hired henchman en route to his world title challenge against Jon Moxley here at the pay-per-view. In reality, the reason is because he's been shooting for a film, but in storyline reason, he wants to prove that he can do something the right way for the first time in his no good, miserable life, or however it was exactly put it. So what I think will happen is in the main event, Stokely Hathaway and the Firm will come down to attempt to prevent Maxwell Jacob Friedman from winning the World Championship but because they're the reason he got this shot. They're going to be like, oh, you turned your back on us, that's why we turned our back on you. But here's the real big twist to the story, if you will. It's that they attempt to get involved, but are prevented, not by Jon Moxley's Blackpool Combat Club, but are prevented from interfering in the main event by Maxwell Jacob Friedman's original bad guy group, which, as of right now, are all good guys. Which is the funny, ironic, interesting change in the dynamic of the landscape of All Elite Wrestling, is that when the Pinnacle was created, Cash Wheeler, Dax Harwood, Shawn Spears, and Wardlow were all bad guys, along with Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Now, if you think about it, all of them are now good guys. Now, MJF is a questionable good guy, but as of right now, it appears as though he's good. And if you think about these 5 guys, and then you go and say Colton Gunn, Austin Gunn, Lee Moriarty, Ethan Page, and W. Morrissey, that's 5 on 5. It's almost as if we're already preparing for the next Blood and Guts match, and I bet they are, actually. And so I think that the interesting development is you have the Firm come down, Stokely, who is just a talker, can be confronted by William Regal, who again is just a talker. He's not an active participant necessarily, and that can be a distracting factor for the referee, with the five firm guys attempting to get involved, and the original Pinnacle guys can stop them. And then, so MJF can win clean, mind you, the world title, which would be more shocking than him cheating to win. And then Moxley can be written off storyline, either on the night or upon the next show, with the firm taking him out, because he's had to cancel 2 vacations as it is already. So I think that, if you wait till the following week and you have the firm take him out in storyline, then that could be a good way to make that work. And like I said, already begin to lay the groundwork for where things are going. You can do the reconciliation of the Pinnacle, because obviously last time Wardlow and MJF were together in storyline, they were not friends, but Wardlow forgave Shawn Spears, who was tormenting him in storyline. So if they can come together, maybe you can figure out a way to get Wardlow and MJF together. And because I don't see MJF remaining on the baby face side of the column for a while, or forever, I mean, then you could still have Wardlow as that ready to take him out type of character. It lends itself to new, interesting developments within the characters. And yeah, I think that is a big change to the direction of everything. And it honestly, if you could get back to working on the same page with Punk, how weird would it be if Punk came back as a villain with MJF as a hero in storyline? Like, that would be a big time change to everything. And so I'm not saying it will happen, but I think that could make this conclusion to Full Gear be even more intriguing. So that's what I think will happen at AEW Full Gear. But what I want to have happen is in the Ring of Honor World Championship match that has Claudio Castagnoli, Sammy Guevara, Bryan Danielson, and the champion, Chris Jericho. I want to see Bryan Danielson defeat Sammy Guevara in the match for the Ring of Honor World Championship. The reason I want it to be Sammy who takes the fall is so that Jericho can claim that he was not defeated for the championship, and that can be his justification for being in the main event of Final Battle in December against Danielson for the championship. And that way Jericho can use the fact that he wasn't the one defeated to be placed into a storyline that makes sense to attempt to get the title back. And if let's say, for instance, they don't want to do Jericho and Bryan at Final Battle, and they want to do Bryan and Joe, then you can just make Jericho's attempting to get the title back a TV storyline, but the same justification is he's not the guy who took the fall to lose the title, thus meaning, he's got an easy in. And if it's Guevara who takes the fall, then you could create friction between Guevara and Garcia going into Final Battle as well, because Garcia can be like, I'm actually here for the Jericho Appreciation Society. I didn't lose the title for the leader. Guevara can be like, it's not my fault, blah, blah, blah. And just give a new change in dynamic to how those characters interact with one another, which then sets them into a new path. And the other interesting thing is, by Claudio not being the guy who takes the fall within the match, he could then have his own stake in getting a championship match with Danielson, assuming that we keep the Jericho feud as the Final Battle thing. And like I said, Guevara and Garcia go at it. Then, assuming that Bryan retains at Final Battle, then Claudio could be his either TV feud or a person that you work toward getting ready to challenge post Ring of Honor TV launch in 2023, hopefully. My point behind putting the title on Bryan is he is a multi-time WrestleMania main eventer. He's a big-time merch seller when it comes to t-shirts, and people know him, so it's like he would keep that star power present for the Ring of Honor title, much like Jericho himself has done, which is, bring eyes to the title and keep it in a prominent position. So it would just, like I said, change the dynamic going into the Final Battle pay-per-view. And so I think that I would really want Bryan to defeat Guevara en route to the conclusion of Full Gear, like I said, so that it would keep things new, fresh, different, and just a different way of going about it. So my wild card pick for the AEW Full Gear pay-per-view is loosely based on the idea of something I saw on the internet recently, which was there's still no word on when Thunder Rosa will return from her back injury. But I thought to myself, I was like, what if that was leaked out just to throw people off the scent? So I think that a nice wild card pick for the AEW Full Gear pay-per-view is for Toni Storm, who's had a really nice interim, and by nice I mean many defenses, often on TV, and a big deal. I think it'd be interesting if Toni Storm dropped the interim Women's World Championship to Jamie Hayter at Full Gear, only for Thunder Rosa to return, raise up her never lost AEW Women's World Championship to set up Hayter versus Rosa. Let's say for Winter's Coming, that feels right. And then for Jamie Hayter to defeat Thunder Rosa to merge back together the titles, because as of currently in AEW lore, no interim champion, right? No, that's not true. Moxley, the interim champion, defeated Punk upon his return, right? On TV? That's right. Yes. But my point was, Hayter, who's interim champion, could defeat Rosa, becoming, again, then another interim champion who is recognized champion. And then you would set up for Hayter to defend against Storm going into the year of 2023, possibly Battle of the Belts, which I believe is in January. So I think that, like I said, my wild card pick would be for a surprise, unexpected return of Thunder Rosa to have the unification match set up at Full Gear, and then subsequently lose the title to Jamie Hayter, who is a very popular character currently. So so what I think will happen is the Pinnacle will reunite with MJF to fight back the Firm, and MJF will win the world title. What I want to happen is Bryan Danielson to defeat Sammy Guevara for the ROH world title. And my wild card pick is Thunder Rosa returns, setting up the unification match with her and Jamie Hayter at the pay-per-view. And so that is my AEW Full Gear triple shot. To close out, if you do not have a copy of Everlasting Survivors All Day Long, Volume 1, there are limited printings at Etsy.com. There will be a link to the store in the description below. Thanks for watching. Come back Wednesday. Come back next weekend. Have a good time.